Stardate 76755.5. We are currently at hyperspeed heading away from a long weekend on a dusty moon called Frabjou 7. I'm worn out like a caterpillar with a chum-chum addiction. Boys and girls, there truly is nothing like a good music festival. And that is even more true for a festival held on a distant moon of a deserted planet with serious gravity issues. Add in the fact that you can potentially purchase one of the most hard-hitting strains known to the universe, and you may have just achieved the perfect storm of epicness for me and my crew. Welcome to the Lucky Stars Music Festival Strain Review. I've been coming to this music festival with Quasar for 7 years. In fact, I met QTQ after one of his performances. I had a booth just opposite the main moon stage, hawking my wares from around the galaxy. Hash from Heckham, diamonds from Dideron, and flowers from Flotsam. Quasar was killing a DJ set, and the 50,000 beings in the audience were grooving. Sales were good, and the atmosphere was peaking with the highlight of the music festival moments away. You see, the reason people travel from all over the galaxy to come party on Frabjou 7 is that for about 8 hours every 426 days, or a solar year for that system, the gravity on Frabjou is cut by 2/3. The planet Syzygy swings in an oval arc around its star, and when it gets to the farthest reaches of its arc, it changes the gravity on its inhabitable moon. So just as your face starts melting and you are blurred out, you start dancing with your feet off the ground. The party starts getting multi-layered in a hurry, and people kick, twist, and fly through spectacular dance moves that can only happen right here. Or in a gravity chamber if you got the credits. It is truly a sight to behold. That year, I watched Quasar the Quick as he layered sound and beats together to bring the crowd into foamy ecstasy, twisting and turning the music as the audience twisted and turned in the air. I buckled on my jetpack and cruised over to the backstage area as Quasar finished up and turned the reins over to the next DJ. I handed QTQ a bear-sized blunt as he clambered down off the stage. A big smile spread across his face as he took in a king-size draw on the stick. We talked about all things music and ganj, and eventually told me I should meet Tad, a shape-shifting quadruped that came to the festival every year. Apparently, Tad grew the kind of smoke that I like to pick up, a chief that followed my 5 galactic credentials. QTQ had run into him blowing billows of smoke into a crowd earlier and knew what current shape he was in, and where he was camped. Apparently, every year Tad shapeshifts to a new form, and so you need to search him out by following your nose and the dank wafts of his Lucky Stars strain. We caught up to Tad that year, and 2 things happened. First, I bought a few units of his amazing flower after smoking a relatively large amount of it with him. Secondly, QTQ asked for a ride to his next gig, and we've been tripping through the galaxy together ever since. Every year, we roll back to Frabjou 7 for the party and spend a few days wandering around looking for Tad. Then the next few days, wrecking the last of our brain cells on chemical experiments and good buds. A few years back, QTQ and I picked up a new starship from Atlantic Corporation as part of a settlement agreement for doing research on me. Come to find out, that starship already had an inhabitant in the form of Consuela, the enlightened AI that lived in our ship's mainframe. We also picked up Clockwise Neutrino as our chief engineer a short while later. This year, the entire crew headed out to Frabjous, and we were all excited about a starship campout, dancing in the stars, and blowing our brains out on fairy frothy, chum chum, and gooey nooblers. Not to mention the copious amounts of slaw we're going to inhale over the next 7 days. I know. I'm blessed. We landed a day early, hoping to make our rounds and find Tad, make our buy before the Rager got raging. Unfortunately, many other partygoers had the same idea, and by the time we landed, there were tens of thousands of people already roaming about like herds of guacushins, searching for that thing that would set this festival off right. Tents were up, and creatures from all over the galaxy were already in full festy regalia. Clockwise poked his head into one of the tents, stared at what was inside for a few minutes, then before we could say, "Bob's your baffles," he was gone through the door. Now, as a festy regular, I know that entering a tent of unknown origins was a good way to lose a day of the festival without knowing it. But QTQ and I went through the flap and were stunned by what was inside. Thousands of bubbles were floating around inside, while tiny kitten-like creatures did a trapeze show above the floor. The floor was littered with pillows, cushions, and places to lounge, while other kittens brought out tiny glasses of tea on trays strapped to their backs. Even more kittens were winding their way through the crowd, cuddling up on the laps of onlookers and purring for petting. Apparently, these kittens collected neutrinos in their fur that are transferred via petting. You pet the cats and release natural neutrinos from your chi. The cats collect them until they're full, and then they go back and fill the tanks on their kitten cruisers so they can make it to the next party. It's fucking weird, I know. The tea helps replenish your chi, and it is more than worth it as the price of admission into this weird kitten menagerie. Plus, they're really freaking cute. However, it cost us a day, and after unbearing clockwise from a mountain of kittens, we headed out of the tent into a new day, hoping to smell a tad. Unfortunately, at that moment, the festival was in full swing, and a parade of partygoers were coming by with instruments and dancers, and thousands of other silly things. One thing you should know about me, I love a good parade. So we jumped into the line of ridiculousness and marched about the festival grounds, singing like drunken starmen, searching for the great white space whale. I woke up in a pile of appendages, tails, legs, and other things not quite identifiable, and had a rumbling stretch while I shook off the streamers, pixie dust, and sparkles out of my fur. I looked about and couldn't see a familiar face, or my crew. I hailed Consuela, who gave me a stern talking to about taking candy from strangers, and told me that QTQ and Clockwise were within a short distance from me, and their comm monitors were reporting that they were basically healthy and asleep. I found a quiet spot, opened my tobacco pouch, and pulled out a long leaf and started filling it with Tatooine Sunset. Once I rolled, I found a caravan selling bitter drinks and settled back for a morning cup and smoke. Peace enveloped me, and I had a moment to give thanks for the incredible life I was able to lead. After that, I found a tent full of mystics creating sound waves with crystal bowls, and I laid down and let the sound roll out the kinks in my back and brain. Eventually, I caught up with Quasar, who was preparing for his set that night during the gravity well, as was traditional, and found out that Clockwise had spent the night in the kitten tent. Again. We chiefed and laughed, and I asked if he had seen Tad, but unfortunately, it sounded like we had all been distracted by the shiny bits around the festival. I told Quasar that I was on the hunt and would catch up with him after his set for our annual post-banger sesh. All day long, I searched the grounds for Tad. Nose in the air, sniffing for lucky stars, long since stored in my memory banks. Once I get a smell for a good strain, I never forget it. Although I caught whiffs here and there, I had no luck in finding Tad. The sun was starting to set, and my steps started to feel lighter, and I knew that Quasar would be playing soon, so I headed back to the moon stage to get a nice spot for the show. I meandered to the middle of the stage area, and as I felt my feet lifting off the ground, I heard a deep rumble coming from the stage. The bass started low and started surging in short bursts that left your chest cavity vibrating and tingling. Then the snares started snapping and the glitch started glitching, and Quasar started laying down the best set I have ever heard him play. Before long, I was floating above the dance floor, twirling, flipping, and laughing in a sea of people hanging 30 feet above the ground. Thousands of beings floated and danced for 2 hours while Quasar pounded the audience with pure blissful sounds and bass. It was magical. As his set started winding down, cooling the space a bit to make it ready for the next DJ, I floated down to the stage and watched him finish. He was in a trance. A small smirk fixed on his face, and I just knew this was his happy place. When he finished, the crowd roared its approval, and QTQ took a small bow, waved, and exited. I met him with a blunt the size of a forearm, and we floated on our backs and took it all in. Suddenly, I saw something unusual above me in the center of the crowd. A tiny fairy was blowing massive bubbles around people, and an 8-legged dragon-type creature was billowing huge amounts of smoke into those same bubbles. My nose really started itching. The hairs on my back stood up straight, and I shouted, "Tad!" I shot straight up into the air with Quasar on my heels. Tad was giggling like a madman, taking in huge breaths from a 4-foot gravity bong strapped to his back and blowing smoke into bubbles that surrounded every conceivable type of creature. When he saw us, he floated straight to us, and the three of us all collapsed in a big old bear hug. Even Clockwise found us that night, looking a little worn out from petting the Neutrino cats. For the next 4 days, we danced, partied, watched shows, hung out with aliens from across the universe, smoked, laughed, and generally had an exceptional time. I picked up 10 units from Tad, and on the last day, we said our goodbyes. Back on Consuela, we sent the herb into the scanner to make sure Tad was still on top of his game. Potency on the Lucky Stars strain registered at 29.8% this year, and as I knew, the strain is clear of genetic mutations. It's also clear of any harmful pesticides or PCRs. It's as clean as a whistle. The appearance, a cosmic masterpiece. When you gaze upon Lucky Stars, prepare to be mesmerized. The buds dense and shimmering with a generous layer of trichomes. It's like a celestial body, purple, green, reminiscent of the lights of the festival itself. Its captivating appearance serves as a testament to the expert cultivation of the strain by Tad the Polymorph. The aroma was a journey to the stars. As you crack open a jar of Lucky Stars, an intoxicating fragrance envelops your senses. Close your eyes and inhale deeply. It's a symphony of fruit and candy, lemons and gas that bring a sense of blasting off. It's as if the essence of the Lucky Stars Festival itself has been captured within these buds, ready to transport you to another dimension. The taste is the celestial symphony. When the time comes to savor the flavor of Lucky Stars, be prepared for an experience you'll never forget. Roll up a king-size doober, ignite your senses, and take a slow, deliberate draw. The taste dances upon your tongue, embracing your palate with its sweet and tangy notes. As the smoke swirls within, the candy pops and the fruit gets rich. Undertones linger, creating a symphony of flavors that leaves you speechless and craving for more. The effects are beyond the realm of possibility. As the celestial essence fills your lungs, a wave of euphoria engulfs you, uplifting your spirits and igniting your creative energy. It's as if the universe aligns to infuse you with a profound sense of relaxation while unleashing a surge of inspiration. Tensions melt away, muscles gently loosen, and worries dissolve into the ether. Lucky Stars masterfully strikes a harmonious balance between invigorating vitality and serene tranquility, leaving you in a state of blissful serenity where imagination thrives and the body finds blissful repose. That's it, Space Cadets. Holler at your bear at Mission Control at thespacebake.com for more information, or if you have any questions regarding Lucky Stars, or if you just want to shoot the shit or send me pics of the fire that you're growing. Strength and honor, I'm out.